Welcome back to everybody. This is our CAMW reunion special for women in workforce. Kate, you can't do that. It's making me laugh.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Yes, we're joking because it feels a little bit like we are Bravo celebrities, and we are introducing our special series and recap reunion. So thank you, everybody, for coming back. We've got Edie, and we have Jane, and we have Rebecca here with us to continue our talking points about different various topics that we want to touch base on still.
Yeah, so thank you again for joining us for part 2, our to be continued of women in workforce. But truly, it is it's such a unique and special chance to get to speak to our 3 guests today: Edythe Copeland, Rebecca Bahar-Cook, and Jane Doty, who all have long histories with Capital Area Michigan Works. Of course, Carrie is the CEO and host, the CEO of Capital Area Michigan Works, and our host of Women in Workforce. And I spent almost a decade of my career at Capital Area Michigan Works and continue to proudly serve them through my work at Piper and Gold. So we should have known that we were not going to stick that. We probably shouldn't even have tried to have questions. We should have just sat here and chatted. But we hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, so we have made it through about half of what we normally would go through.
That's all right.
So we are going to dive in to a segment that we call Facts and Feelings. So a lot of times we talk about facts, not feelings. Facts, not feelings. Make decisions based on facts, not based on feelings. Or at least my therapist says that all the time. And so we want to talk about facts and feelings. So women in workforce disparities, there's so much amazing data out there. And so we're going to share with you some facts, and we're going to ask you to share how that makes you feel. So today we've been talking so much about leadership in workforce development, leadership in the workplace, people with, different backgrounds and experiences. So we thought it would be really neat to talk from a fact perspective about the differences in how people from each generation approach and view leadership. I know Edie is really passionate about kind of the leaders of the future and what future generations will bring in terms of change. And so I'm going to give you some facts about generations and leadership, and we're going to talk about that. So, facts. According to a LinkedIn survey, 57% of millennial and Gen Z respondents mentioned that soft skills were more important than hard skills in leadership positions. A different survey conducted by Deloitte revealed that 89% of leaders from all generations, and I thought this was really interesting, from all generations believed that empathy was an important trait for effective leadership today. And a report by PwC indicated that 83% of surveyed millennial and Gen Z respondents believed that business success should be measured by more than financial performance. They valued factors such as impact on society, ethics, and environmental sustainability.
So thinking about those facts, I'd love to know what your reactions are and how that data makes you feel. We wonder, what are the implications or opportunities for women in leadership hearing this sort of data?
Well, I think it's promising, right? I think that's our hidden skill set, right? Both the empathy, the soft skills, the nurturing, all that stuff that brings us down because they expect us to do it also could be what rises us up if the younger folks are valuing that. So I feel pretty good about it. I feel like those are my strengths.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Just last weekend, I had 10 or 11 former Burger King employees at the lake. And it was just like this.
Without the cameras, though.
And a little, adult beverages. But
They had the right things in their cups.
they did.
I know. I'm sorry.
And stories that I would hear that they would say, Jane, you probably didn't ever know about that. Yeah, I knew about that. But at the end of the day, this one man who he left us and went to work for corrections, and now he is a mucky muck at DHHS. And he said, you know, the way you treated people, he said, I learned everything I needed to learn when I was working at Burger King. And it makes you choke up.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
My dad was a very gentle, generous person. And to have somebody 40 years later come say that to you, this is remarkable.
Nice.
Well, I guess, thinking about, piggybacking too on Rebecca, because I've always tried to, in my supervisory roles, I have always tried to encourage and push, my folks a little bit, so that always wanted them to think about where they wanted to be 3 to 5 years from now, and what could I do to help them get there? So whether it was sending them to specific conferences, maybe having them attend board meetings on my behalf, suggesting maybe different books that they could read on leadership or wherever they wanted to be. I felt like as their supervisor, it was my job to make sure that they got as close as possible with as much as I could do to help them get there. And then, of course, and then if they needed to go, then to make sure they felt free enough to go and fly and soar. Because I feel like as a woman leader, it's always our responsibility to help other women, girls, grow and think about what it is they ultimately want to do or want to be, and then to help them, because they may not, if we don't do it, then who? And why not do it? Why wouldn't we want to help somebody else that's trying to get there? And since, we're focusing on women, but it would be the same if it was a male also, but since we're talking about women in leadership. And I feel very strongly about that, because very few women get the opportunity to be where I was able to be, where we're able to be. And so I just feel like it's our duty to help whoever we can for that next generation to get to soar.
And I think it's also, there's actively mentoring, right, which is what you're talking about. And then I think showing up is also important, right? So, Carrie, now this is going to be, I haven't gotten emotional yet, camera, but I'm gonna.
Camera.
Audience. Josh can fix that. But when you and I had a conversation, and you had said something to me about, thank you. I think it was when I was leaving the county commission. I don't remember exactly, but you said, thank you. I learned a lot about leadership and how to run a meeting from watching you.
I meant it.
And I didn't know I was being watched. And that's cool.
Always.
If we show up, we're showing other women we can do it with posh and brains and skill. And I just think we have to show up. We have to do things like this so that others can thrive.
And we also need to recognize those contributions that are being made. I said thank you to you, and I've said thank you to you. I don't even know how many times. And you too, Jane. Right. Because I don't even think that sometimes when you're in a leadership position that you think about all those moments and things that you're just doing as a leader, and the people who are watching you and the impact that you're making for decades to come for some of those people. I was fortunate. I grew up with a mom who worked, and she was passionate about her job, and she was dedicated, and she was good at it. And I knew that I could do that, and I could still have a family, and you could make those choices. But then I also was so incredibly fortunate. I've seen that in my work environment too. Since I started in what I did, I saw you, Edie. I saw you, Kate, as my peer doing those sorts of things. I saw you, Jane, leading a board. I'm like, oh, women can be board chairs. That's so cool. Yeah. And I saw you, Rebecca, as, a county commissioner. I mean, it just, those things can happen and they're out there, but to see it in action and to watch and to pick up on those traits that you can't learn that in a book. You can't learn that in a classroom. You learn that from being engaged with people who are doing the work, and it matters.
When I first found these statistics, the empathy one across all generations, honestly, it surprised me because in my mind, like, I had that stereotype of baby boomers and the, like, get the job done, like, get your head down, get the job done, work hard, and, like, that's it.
Be a robot here in the office.
Yeah, and then, like, hearing you talk and hearing, like, what you said about, women, like, that is, like, the empathy is what has held us back in the past, these perceptions of being too emotional in the workplace, and yet it's what people value across all generations, not just about younger generations. And the way in which, like, Edie and Jane, for the two of you, that, like, it's you were talking about how it's manifested. Like, why would you not treat people like that? Why would you not treat people how you would want to be treated? And this is, it's not just about women in leadership, it's about women as leaders, right? And so, yes, regardless of whether it's mentoring women or mentoring men, like, for a man to be mentored by a woman who, like, that kind of unique and special and different relationship, that has power and meaning.
Well, and it's great to watch it trickle down, right? So I have an incredible employee, and her father was going into the hospital, and she called me and said, can I have the day off? And I said, never ask me that question again. From now on, I want to hear, my father's in the hospital, I'm taking the day off.
Yes.
And I heard her say that to our newest hire.
Oh.
And like, it was like, she's telling him. And so hopefully he'll take it to the next hire, right? But it was just sort of that same, like, you've got to be empathetic for people. You've got to understand what they're going through and what needs they may have. And because what's happening behind or, outside in their home is going to affect their work product.
100%.
So if you're not paying attention and offering them maybe some extra help or tutoring or concessions in the workplace or, whatever it takes to help them get there, we're not going to have a good workforce, right? That robotic come in, do your work, job, leave, don't have any feelings, don't have any emotions, don't tell me what's going on. I really hope those days are over. Or will be more and more, right? Like, it's very different in my office. We're small. It's probably a lot harder in your husband's office or on the factory floor or,
Yeah,
I get
that's
that.
true on the factory
that.
floor, certain industries. Yeah.
But I know for me, and that was really important. That was one of the things that I really stressed because I always felt like in many cases, employees were spending more working hours at work than they are at home. Because, you go home, you cook, you're taking care of children or whatever, and you go to bed to get ready for the next day. And so it was always important to me that the work environment be more of a family type environment than, come to work, go home, come to work, don't speak, go home, do that, come back the next day. And it was really important to me to create a family environment so that if somebody was going through something and maybe needed help, that everybody would pitch in, including me. It wasn't like, no, you're going to do that. I would never ask anybody to do anything that I was not willing to do myself. And so having that empathy, having that care and concern, there's still going to be times when I might have to say no, you can't because we got to get this done or no. But when it's, I always tried to, make it so that whatever is doing, family first. And I do believe that was one of the reasons why we were able to keep folks
I was just
at
thinking,
the
I was
agency
just
because
thinking
it
that
wasn't
creates
because
loyalty.
of the money.
That creates
you know,
loyalty.
it wasn't because of that, but I do feel as though people enjoyed coming in to see each other or talking to somebody about issues that were going on, and you know, and we would do what we could to help.
Oh yeah, I mean, other people have tried to hire my staff away for much more money, and I'm very fortunate because they're as loyal to me as I am to them.
That's exactly what it is, though. You're loyal to them, too.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that knowing that as a staff member, I always knew that about you, Edie.
Yeah, she always had your back.
Always.
Even if you messed up, she had your back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
important. That's a great
But I
leadership.
always had her back, too.
Yeah, she did.
And
Exactly.
so,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
that's,
Yes.
it,
Absolutely.
when you set
But
up.
you guys didn't mess up.
Well, no.
Everybody makes mistakes every once in a while.
no, we messed up.
There again.
Okay, but let's be honest.
No.
There's plenty of times that I could have done things better, differently. I made mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And
we all do.
Edie always was being a leader. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, you would say that. Like, it's okay, you made a mistake. Let's talk about what you'll do differently next time. And, you know, normalizing that it's not, people are going to make mistakes. It is illogical to think that people are perfect. So, you know, you leading in that manner also helped people to build confidence too. And that's important.
And the thing is, if you make a mistake, come and tell me as
Exactly.
soon as you realize. Don't let me have to find out from a reporter or, you know, so as soon as you, now if you don't recognize it and
Please
it's
don't let
found
me.
later, that's different. But when you know you made the mistake, come and tell me.
And let's talk about
then,
it.
Yeah, because then I have to be ready to do whatever is necessary as a result of the consequences.
And then what a lesson to us as leaders too, though, in like, you know, I equate so much of running a company to being a parent. Honestly, like there's so many times I'm like, oh, that's the same lesson. Like that when we screw up, we have to say we're sorry. It's okay for us to acknowledge I made a mistake there, because if we don't, it sets that precedent that there is perfection, or that like the number of times that I've found myself having to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And I need you to know that, because I don't want you to think you need to know what you're doing.
All the time.
Like if we're doing, especially in my industry, in my field, I've always said that, like if we're doing our jobs really, really well and we're innovating, then we're doing something new every time. Right? Because we're always introducing something new to the equation. We're always challenging the norms. And yeah, the foundations will always be the same. But like, I don't want us to just do the exact same thing over and over and over, right? So don't think I know what I'm doing. What I do know how to do is solve a problem, ask for help, ask smart people what they think, like, you know, that make a mistake. And that has been so hard to get used to as I've gotten older. But like, I know how to make a mistake, see the mistake, and realize it's not the end. It's just a part of an iterative process. That part didn't work, so now I'm going to keep going through it.
So how do you sort of tie the I don't know what I'm doing with imposter syndrome? Because I think a lot of women
good question.
suffer from imposter syndrome. And, you know, where's that line between I'm pretending to know what I'm doing and I know what I'm doing?
I think for me, a lot of imposter syndrome, like as I've embraced, and I kind of had to, because I found out it was like a thing on my team where like I would hear it so many times from so many different young women, especially like students and things like that. You know, PR is a heavily female industry. And so we've always had a disproportionately female workforce. And I would hear over and over, but I don't know how to do this. And I'd be like, babe, I don't know how to do it either. I'm literally going to go Google how to do that.
Sounds like me and my travel
All right,
blog.
we should not Googled how to do something we don't know how to do.
But like, you know, like, but like not knowing how to do something doesn't make you an imposter, right? Like, and I think that for me, starting to own that, like what I do know how to do, I do know how to find an answer. I do know how to find information. I do know how to solve a problem. I do know how to persevere. That is one thing that, for better or worse, you know, like people will often say, like, you don't stop. Like, I mean, I stop, but like you don't, if there's something I want, I don't take no. Okay, that didn't work, try this. What about this? We're going to try this? Oh, there is no such thing as no. And that's not always the most healthy thing mentally. But like,
I think imposter syndrome, though, too, to me, is if you walk into a room and you don't see people who look like you or who maybe are females around their same age and you're in a room full of men, like, to me, that's where I usually feel it the most, is looking around and like, oh man, these people have so much more experience than me, or making that assumption.
yeah.
So then you become afraid to say, I don't know what I'm doing, because you already feel like, what am I doing in this room?
Sometimes. And I think sometimes it's, you know, you push through it, or I push through it, and I have to do a lot of self-talk, like, no, you deserve to be in this room. But, you know, I think it's natural for all of us.
You say, I deserve to be in the room. I say, maybe I can fake it good enough. They won't know I'm an imposter.
And see, I go irreverent. I get angry. When I walk in and I'm the only woman in that room, I'm like, oh,
That's interesting.
I'm gonna let them know that Barbie has arrived.
I
know.
was the
Edie.
only minority woman in the room.
Yep, we talked about that a
Yeah.
lot.
So, you know, so it's like, well, but first of all, so I'm smart. I know I'm just saying, I'm smart. I know I consider myself to be a workforce expert. But then I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, ain't nobody else in this region that could be in this room that looks like me, or even close. Let's just say even close. And so,
is there any diversity at all, or am I
exactly? And am I a twofer, or are you real? Well, Jane knows, because we have had this
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
am I a twofer? And people are going to be wondering, what do you mean by twofer? So am I a statistic? Did you need a female? And did you need a black female? That's a twofer. So
I was gonna Google that. Thank you.
Oh, I know. We've talked about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know, my attitude was always, well, I'm here because I'm representing workforce development. And so that's something I know very well. And so that's what you're going to get. Now, if you were looking for something else, you know.
Maybe I'm not your person.
You're right. Maybe next meeting you won't invite me. But if that's what you're looking for, hey, I'm one of the best you're going to get.
That's right.
Exactly right.
And that's why we respect the hell out of you. Like,
that's
you taught us, like.
And that's probably why when I do walk in those rooms and I feel that imposter syndrome for a minute, I'm like, no, I deserve to be here.
Absolutely.
Because there's a reason that I've been brought to this meeting. And I think that's because you modeled that's what you do. Even when you don't feel it maybe inside and you're not sure why you're there, you push through it and you trust your abilities.
Oh, y'all. Okay.
Yeah, moving on, Kate.
Right? I know. I just completely abandoned my role as the person that maintains the timer and moves us through segments.
There will not be a part 3.
That was a mic drop. So we're going to go ahead and share our 3 words takeaway. I just want to get a final thought from each of you, because this has been an amazing conversation for me. Even if no one else makes it to the end, I'm so grateful to have gotten to spend this time with you.
They're going to make it to the end. This has been highly entertaining.
It's been something.
I have 10 words. I crafted 10 words.
Dang, I'm impressed.
Okay, we'll take all 10.
So we will take all 10. But yeah, I would love to hear from each of you just kind of what you hope others will take away from our conversation, or what you yourself will take away.
Yeah, and while you're thinking about, if you haven't already written down those words, I know you've got your 10, Rebecca. You're ready to go.
prepared.
Scratched out.
She's got them all.
I do want to really thank all of you for being a part of this reunion special show that we did. And to say thank you, Edythe Copeland, CEO of Edythe and Enterprises, a travel blogger, a mentor, and a very dear friend. Rebecca Bahar-Cook, CEO of Capital Fundraising Associates, also someone I consider a very dear friend. And Jane Doty, restaurateur and owner of H&H Restaurants, forever, my friend.
Thank you.
So,
All right. Are y'all ready to share?
No, I don't have. Go ahead.
Okay, you'll order last. Like, okay, keep looking at the menu. So we know you're ready, Rebecca. So
Watch
go
the
ahead.
11 words when I do it. Advocate for yourself and find mentors who promote you. Oh, even less.
Look at
hey,
you.
good job.
I like that.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about mentorship so much, but it was the theme running
was.
through what we were talking about.
undercurrent.
So,
Yep.
Edie, are you
Mine
ready?
are more than 10 words.
You can have as many as you want, Edie.
So, final thought. At 62 years of age, I created a travel blog. It's never too late to start a new adventure.
yay.
I couldn't keep that to 10. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's great.
It was worth the extra words.
I'm a rule breaker, as you can see.
And we love that about you.
All right. Last, certainly not least, especially because Jane, you have always led with such quiet confidence. You are one of those people that you don't always say a lot, but what you say is said with intention, and it matters. So I hope that folks, that don't have the opportunity to know Jane as well as we do, and listening to today's conversation with the four of us that are just going, and then,
good luck in the editing
Jane
room.
slide those in. Like that is your way, and I respect it so much, and I've always been so grateful for, the quiet moments. Is the quiet conversation after the meeting wraps when you come up to tell someone something, or the hallway conversation. So share with us your
Well, I don't have
takeaway.
10, but the biggest one was mentoring. That of all the people that worked for us at the Burger Kings for 35 years, there were a lot of people that went on to do wonderful things, and I like to think that was because of us. And I think that women need to surround themselves with strong women.
Yes.
Well, I am so grateful to be surrounded by you strong women, and to have been surrounded by you for more than 20 years now. And so just incredibly grateful. I'm Kate Snyder. I'm the CEO of Piper & Gold Public Relations in Lansing.
And I'm Carrie Rosigana, CEO of Capital Area Michigan Works here in Lansing. Thanks for joining us for this really special conversation. And we can't wait to welcome a new batch of guests at our next Women in Workforce session.